Hello, my lovelies. Let's hope this week I have everything the right way around. I'm so sorry about last week. If you tried to watch the Facebook Live after the fact, it switched all the way around to portrait mode instead of landscape mode. So hopefully that doesn't happen again this week, because that was not what I expected. Of course, life is full of these digital mysteries. Now, let's just get you on here and see if I can get some joy from my iPad, which it should be showing me the live broadcast. Oh my goodness, there it is. Wow. That doesn't happen very often. There we go. And that's looking pretty good. Everything in focus. Let me just tap that. Should be good. Now I need to make sure I get comments. Good. Hi everybody. I don't know who's here, but hello. Right, we're going to make a card and we're going to do a background. We're going to turn words into backgrounds. Now, Diana has done this with some beautiful success, and I thought I'd give it a shot, and it certainly can be very interesting. So today we're going to do a thanks background. I guess you figured that out. This card isn't quite finished yet. I'm going to ask you to give your opinion on how you want it finished. And oh, there we go. Hi, Cora. Hi, Judy. Hi, Kathy Jo. Hi, Donna. There, I really am getting comments now, and things are lighting up, at least for a minute. Okay, so let me tell you what we're going to do. We're going to stick down all these little die cuts, and although it seems pretty simple, I'll give you some help and make it faster for you, hopefully. So the first thing we're going to do is show you what dies we're using today. I think you could probably figure that out, but I'll pull them out anyway. So we're going to use the thanks, that's the main one. But if you're making a thanks card, you can use Danke as for the German crowd, and merci for the French crowd, and gracias for the Spanish crowd. See, we're a multilingual group here, and we are really, truly in the Quietfire design family. Okay, and these are all Elizabeth Craft design dies, and you can get them through me on my website, or you can get them through Elizabeth Craft Designs, of course. Okay, now let me show you what else we're using. Papers, for instance. Oh yeah, see, I have to put my finger on the iPad, which is over there, and to be able to see the comments. They're not scrolling up like they used to. Okay, here's some papers, and they're all basil, and I really like the tones here, and there's actually one that's even paler. It's called Tutu Pink, and it's really, really pale, almost white. So these are and I use these a lot. If you follow me, my digital things, I use these papers a lot. So this pale one is Pinkini. I wish I could think of these great names. I'm hopeless at naming things. This is Fussy, and this one is called Chablis. So we're going to use all three of them today, plus another one that's called Romance, which I'll show you later on. But anyways, I wanted you to see these because they're gorgeous. So the first thing I did with this is cut a 5x7 tent fold card base. I made a tent fold card base. Da-da-da-da. And by the magic of television, I just happen to have that right here. 5x7. And this is the medium pink. So this is, is it Pinkini? Or No, it's fussy. You'd think I'd remember this. I use it all the time. I just kind of grab it and it's all in the same place. And I have greens that are in the same kind of tonal ranges, and I just love them. Okay, so you're going to do that, and then you're going to cut. Where did I just put my card? Here. You're going to cut 6 of the paler pink thanks. I'm going to assume you've done all that now. No, don't do anything yet. And then what we're going to do is draw some diagonal lines. But you know, I think it kind of helps to get you started by having tangled up die cuts. No. To kind of put them on the page so that you can see what they look like. So, you know, if you do your line like that, it's going to be a bit too sloped. So you want to bring it down a bit. And don't ask me what angle that is, because I don't know. So what you're going to do is you're going to bump your ruler up. We want to start this a little bit off the page because we want to make it interesting. And then we're going to take the pencil and draw a line across here. Now, if you were using a really dark paper, you could use the soapstone pencil. And in fact, this sample that I have here actually does have soapstone pencil on it. I did use soapstone pencil. And the great thing about that is you can just rub it out with your finger, or, you know, rub it with the sleeve of your shirt, and the soapstone pencil will come off. So you can use it on light or dark. I'm going to use the regular pencil today, just to make sure you can see it. So I found out that about 1.5 inches apart is a really good distance. So it so happens that this ruler is 1.5 inches wide, and most of them are a bit narrower than that, but this is kind of handy because I can just take then and do that and try and make it a fairly light mark, because we're going to have to erase that afterwards. Line it up, go across, and do it again. Okay, we need our cheat lines. Okay, so now the simple thing is that you're going to stick these down. But there's a couple of things I should point out about this particular die. And it's one of the very first dies I ever made in my misspent youth. No, not really. It turned out really well. It's nice and big, shows great thicks and thins, and that's what calligraphers want, because that's what makes calligraphy elegant. But it's what I would call unsupported. And what I mean by that is that the H can splay, because the thin happens right up there, and same with the N, and it can splay. So this particular die cut can actually become misshapen fairly easily. Now, I solved that problem in a lot of die cuts by putting a flourish on the bottom, or a swash that hooks things together. So it still happens occasionally. You've got to watch out for those ends. So bring out your inner calligrapher and watch for those 2 sides of the H and make sure they're parallel. Same with 2 sides of the N, and make sure they're parallel and that they don't come apart like that, because really it's an aesthetic thing and you won't like it, and I'll shudder. So, okay. That said, that's one of the very rare ones that has that problem, but it will crop up every once in a while because I can't seem to get them all without looking too overdone. Okay, so now the easy way, you would think, to get the adhesive on the back is to take some of the double-sided adhesive, and this is from a full sheet, and some of you are going to know exactly what I'm talking about. This is the release paper on one side, so you would take that off and you would put it on some cardstock, and then you would have a little piece like that. So you have cardstock on that side, and you have the adhesive on this side. Before you peel that off, you want to die cut it, so you would stick your die. There's the thanks die, and you would stick it and cut from the top, and you would run it through your die cutting machine, and then you'd end up with this awesome die cut with adhesive on the back. Now that sounds all very well and good, but it actually doesn't work too well for this die, because when you're taking off the release paper on the back, it misshapes the die cut. So you end up with this sort of spread out die cut, and it's sort of not very nice to work with, for starters. And also kind of looks bad if you don't get it down right. And those adhesives, those double-sided adhesives, are pretty strong. So it's, once it's down, it's not going to want to come up, although you could use some undo to pull it up. And I don't have my undo handy. It's hiding. But one of these days I'll demo that to you. So the other thing you can do with this is use something like a tape runner. Some tape runners tapes have carriers, and so they're putting down a piece of a certain width. Now, scrapbook adhesives, and I didn't pull it out, has a really narrow one, and that might work here. But the thing about making this as a background, you want the whole die cut to be stuck down. And I don't usually do that. You know, if you've been hanging around with me, that I'll use glue dots and only tack maybe 3 or 4 spots. So the thing about the Tombow Mono dots is that it actually is it puts down little dots, and somehow it's not quite so bad as some other adhesives. Now the thing about them is, because they're wide, is that I'm going to go ahead and do this one anyway, even though it's probably not my favorite thing to do. It works, is that it goes over the edge, and it kind of, and you end up with excess hanging off it, like little hairs and sticky things and fibers, and look at that, it's stuck to me. You know, it's a good adhesive anyway. Okay, and that's when you probably want to bring in the tweezers. And just to give you a bit more, another hold that maybe isn't quite the same grip as your fingers, less places to get stuck. And then you're going to line this up. Now the thing about this die cut too is you're looking at the baseline all along the bottom of the letters, and it's pretty even here. There's no surprises except the swash at the very beginning of the word on the T. So let's just, what do we want to do here? Oh, let's try and get most of this on here, and just line it up with the baseline of the letters and the baseline of the line you've drawn. Okay, and stick that down, and you can put that down and give it a rub so it's down. And you can take a gum eraser, and if there's little bits, and also this is my favorite, the Tombow Mono Zero little round eraser. Hey, behave. Of course it's sticky, right? And you can go back in and you can pull up if there's any little bits of adhesive around. You can take care of that. Okay. So that's one done. Now what we want to do is offset these. So you don't want them stacked all perfectly on top of each other. Well, maybe you do. Go ahead. If that pleases you, then go right ahead and do that. So, okay, so that's my dry adhesives. That I adore dry adhesives, but not today. Not for this project anyway. So what I tried was the Tombow again. Boy, I wish I could just go to one adhesive company and get it all, but it doesn't work that way. Adhesives are so different, and glues are so different. So these are the two that I tried out, and they both work fine because they both have tiny little tips on them. So this one is new to me, and it is a clear glue, and it's got this super tiny little applicator, and it says it's stainless steel, and what does it say? It's like 0.8 of a millimeter. And I'm going, okay, if you're in the US, then 24 or 25 millimeters equal an inch. So this is less than 1/24 of an inch. So, and in the cap, there's this little pin that you have to put inside the applicator, or else it will clog up when you're not looking. So let me show you how that goes. I hope this shows up. You can actually draw. You might want to start there. You can see there's a little bit. That's not the smartest thing to do. Let's just wipe that up. And maybe put a tiny little dab on here just to kind of burp it and get it going. And then you can actually draw along the letters. This is a bit runny, so you want a pretty small application. And I hope nobody's asking questions because I can't see. The comments are turned on, but they're not showing up for me. All right, face it, I have to get a laptop. I think the solution will present itself when I have a laptop instead of the iPad. I don't know, maybe it's a Facebook thing. Seems like they change things every week on me. So talk amongst yourselves. I'm almost done. It doesn't take very long. So I said die cut 6 of them. And I made a card out of one full sheet of 12 by 12 cardstock. So the 5 by 7 card base comes out of it, and all the little words come out of it too. Okay, I'll finish there. And now my test, you know, when I was younger, I used to be able to do this without a problem. There, I did it. All is not lost. Okay, that's the Imagine Crafts On Point glue. Imagine Crafts is Sukaniko. Okay, let me grab the thanks like that. And I am going to let the T hang off. And I'm going to, now this is one you don't want to feel around too much with this because it will smear onto the background. And it doesn't have a lot of immediate tack. Yeah, see, I smeared it. Bad Suzanne, right there. But it does dry clear. That's a good thing about it. So I love the applicator on it, but for me, it's just a little bit slow to tack. And probably if I sat with it face up for a minute or so, it would thicken up enough that when it does go down, it would tack right away. Okay, next one I want to show you is the well-used Tombow Multi. I'm going to move that over there. And somewhere in here I have, there we go, I have another die cut handy. And you see, I don't know whether you can see how that's still flipping up. Sure don't have that problem with the dry glue, but you can see, I don't know whether you can see in the camera, but there is some residue around. It's blue residue around the edge. And don't worry about this thing's hanging off. We'll chop them off. Okay, and let me burp this too. I should store it upside down, shouldn't I? It has two ends, but I never use the other end. Okay, so this is a white glue, and it is sticky. Now, I am a big fan of Aleene's tacky glue, and have been forever. However, it's a bit thick for this. And you can actually, this is a big enough tip that you can sort of smoosh the glue around. So you don't have to put very much on. You get the feel for it pretty quick. And down there. But it's really sticky. And the thing I like about white glue, and I did this with book binding a lot, and I mean, I wasn't fine binding, I was craft binding, was the thing about white glue is that when you get it on your fingers, it dries really fast and you can just roll the glue in your fingers and get it off. This is a bit stickier, this one, and it doesn't perform quite the same way. Okay, again, talk amongst yourselves. squeeze. This is a bit slower. It doesn't come out as fast as, and I don't know, sometimes that gives you a bit more control. I think it gives you a bit more control. That's like my favorite writing tool is a pencil. Now, let me warn you, see that little bit on my finger? Wipe it off because it will get tacky and it will end up where you do not want it. And how do I know that? Because it happened last night when I was preparing for this. But I did get it off quite well with the eraser once it had dried, and it rolled, and I used that Tombow eraser. Now, feel free to suggest other glues with tiny applicators, especially if you have experience with them and you know that the glue isn't going to run, because that's one of the dangers. Okay, enough, she cried. Okay, and again, the tweezers are really, really handy. And try and grab that little thing where there's no glue so it doesn't then tack to your tweezers. And we're going to put that right up against there and down along there. Now that's pretty funny because this is obviously a different angle than I've used before, so there's actually room, you know, I could probably take that and put it over here, but not right now. Okay, see? Now, see, if you're not tending to this other glue, the On Point glue, it seems to then not tack down. I have a solution for that, but this Tombow is a good white glue. Now, I'm wondering if I got that splayed a little bit, but it's not too bad. Too late to move it now. Okay, so if you have a problem with things like this that don't go down, I have another tool for you, and I don't think I've ever used it on a video, Facebook video, and that's the Quietfire spatula. In my misspent youth, I was a chemist, and I used to carry one of these around in the lab, and they're not all made like this. This is a stainless steel one, and as soon as I became a crafter, I had to have them. So what you can do with this is you can put the glue right on the tip. And just run it under here. Tap it under there. Places where the glue didn't work. And tap it under there. And wipe it. And then just push it down. You can push it down with the other end, which doesn't have any glue on it. And because it's stainless steel, you can just wipe it off and it comes clean really easily. Okay, let's put the lid on that. We like to put the lids on our glue. Don't forget to do that. So, and you can see this, the white glue is showing a little bit there because I squeezed too hard or something. And but it will dry clear. Most white glues dry clear. Having said that, I'm sure you guys know of some that don't. Okay, so what you're going to do is continue like that, so you get a pattern like that happening. And the next step would be that we have to cut off all these extra bits. So you're going to flip this over and you're going to use your X-Acto. And I would let it dry first, but did you want to stay with me while we watch this dry? It's like watching golf. Unless there's a cat on the golf course. If you follow me personally on Facebook, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so this is the top of the K, that's the ascender that's hanging off. So we're just going to take that and use the X-Acto. Push down right near there and just cut that off. Now, I wouldn't suggest, I mean, you could on the side, taking like a cutter, a guillotine cutter or a roller cutter and trimming that. You could do that, but you might pull that letter off, wreck its positioning. And you probably don't want to do that kind of thing along the fold because if you cut the fold off, well, then it becomes a panel. Okay, so I'm just going to do that. And sometimes just make sure you have a good sharp X-Acto. And see how that moved? I don't know whether you can see that on the camera. Sometimes the camera picks up things you don't want it to. And so you're going to continue like that till you have stuff chopped off. And you might even take some of that and put it, see, I'm getting stuck to my projects. That's the hardest thing about projects often is gluing them. Okay, so let's put that back on. So you would continue trimming that off. And then use your eraser to get rid of the lines. And if you've used the soapstone pencil, you won't have to fuss with that. And we're good to go there. Let's brush that off. Okay, let's put that one aside and have a look at this. Now, I thought this was really pretty. As far as I'm concerned, you could leave it. It's good to go. But that wasn't what I had in mind. I had in mind that I would use the thank you to as a, and I would cut it in the Chablis and I'd put it on there and it would be wonderful. Well, it was wonderful in my mind. But this isn't dark enough. What we've done is we've actually created a really busy background. So Suzanne was not happy. Going, okay, how am I going to fix it? Well, I tried doing a drop shadow of white. And it still was just way too busy. That's not going to line up very happily. I tried just white. No. Too much fighting going on with what's in the background. I tried black drop shadow. Better, but wasn't making me happy still. Even black, I mean, you can't get more contrast than black, right? And it still wasn't making me happy. I even tried, well, there's another one. That's a hot pink. And no, this was not going to win. So this is your lesson in contrast. Oh, and I also tried turquoise. And even that's kind of glowed off the page. I was not winning. How many die cuts can a girl get? Well, watch for these on other projects. So I have this paper called, it's Basil, and it's called Romance. And it doesn't digitally cut very well. So I thought I'd try that. So I did the same color die cuts on the same background. And you know what? All of a sudden, it's working. So yay! I thought that was awesome. So there you go. And I think when Diana did it, she might have done white on white. And it was very effective. So what then you have to do is go back in here and, erase all the things and tidy it up, brush all the crusties off and trim everything. And I've gone back to this because this is the one that I have more or less finished. And I'm going to say, okay, if we do this, where do you think it should be? Do you think it should be there? Or do you think it should be down in the corner? I'm thinking down in the corner. Actually, this shows better. Now that I can see it on the screen, it's actually showing better on the screen than I would have thought. The contrast is a bit better, but it's still fighting and it's not making me happy. So if I took this and I put it on here, wow. See, I still have that adhesive on there and it's sticking to everything. Have you noticed me pulling things? So much as I like that, I think it's a standalone card all by itself. And then you fill it with your breathings of your heart inside, and you're good to go. However, I think this is a much stronger final card. And you've got good contrast, and the background is interesting, but it doesn't dominate, and that could be in the middle or it could be down in the corner. Any ideas that anybody want to vote? Bottom corner or middle? What do you think? Yeah, it still gets caught. Okay. Quietfire design. Well, that'll be Kathy Jo. Thank you very much, Kathy Jo, for putting in the links for me today. She's way over on the East Coast. Yes, you're right, Charmaine. I actually see your comment. A piece of vellum would work with that other one if you want to go into that. But I think this is the really interesting solution. Corner, bottom corner. Yeah, I know. Bottom corner. Judy likes that. Cora likes that. I think so. Okay. So, and then all I would do with this is, after I've trimmed the bits off and made it all pretty, is I would do my usual with the glue dots, the micro glue dots, and I would do the scratchy off bits. This is the really hot pink, and I'm not sure what it's called. I think it might be Recollections from Michaels, and it's backed with white as a drop shadow, just to give it a little beef. It's not really, it gives it more dimension than it does color in the background. But what's nice about it is that it allows you a little bit more width for putting on adhesives. So I'm just going to pop on these. And then with my, high-tech tool, you get really good and fast at this, let me tell you. And we're almost done. Then I have to look at my cheat sheet and find out whether I've missed anything before I go. Okay, let's put that down there. Hopefully I have that straight. And I might shove another glue dot under there. Or I could use the spatula. And so that's our card. It's driving me crazy with those things hanging off the side. I haven't finished it yet. I wanted to see what you guys thought about positioning, and I totally agree with you. So there we have it. Is there any questions? Thanks, Nancy. I'm glad you like it. It's just another thing you can do with your die cut. So you could go into the multilingual thing, and actually, instead of thanks, I could have put the French, or the Spanish or German. I could have done. I could have mixed and matched through the whole thing, and that would have been fun. Depends on who it's going to. You could do the same thing with any of the Away with Words sentiments. So okay, so we've talked about die cuts and adhering multiple die cuts to a card base to form a word background. We've discussed colors in lack of contrast, really, is what we've talked about. And we've talked about adhesives, and that for this particular project, how did I figure the angle? I just saw that come up. Sharon, hi. How did I figure I didn't really do much. What I did was here, I'll show you. I have a blank over here. Put that up there. I had this, and I just put it on the angle that I thought would be good. Not, that's too steep. even a shallower angle might have been fine. And then I lined up my ruler there like that and drew a line. And then I drew another line. This is an 1.5 inch wide ruler. And then I drew another line here. And then I just kept going like that. So there's nothing magical about the angle that's there. Okie dokie. How did you glue the thanks to the background? Oh, used ultimately, my favorite was the Tombow Mono liquid glue. Hi, Wendy Jean. Thanks for joining us. This will be archived on Facebook, and hopefully if I got it in the right orientation, I'll put it on my YouTube channel too. Sometimes these things flip over and you don't know what they've done. So that was ultimately my favorite glue, although I did try the On Point glue, and if you already have a glue that you love, you can probably make it work. But I found the dry adhesives weren't good because this particular die cut is prone to, this is, like I was saying, this is one of the first dies I made, and it's unsupported is what I would say, and it can splay like that, and the N and the H are usually the bad places where those things will go wrong. And sometimes if I make this part too thin, which is very elegant, I might add, this will go out as well. So what I do, I chopped off a corner of that S. There should be a bit more on there. Ultimately, what I did to solve that problem was add flourishes to the bottom, and then the letters would be all kind of locked in position. Yes, Charmaine, I do still have soapstone pencils. Okay, any other? Okay, I hope I've got all your... Yes, I think hopefully Kathy Jo will give you the link to the soapstone pencil. Oh yes, and she'll tell you that the prices are in Canadian dollars, and not to be shocked if you're American and thinking they're way too high, because when you do the conversion, they'll come down to what the prices are in US dollars. And some of those links, I think you'll find Kathy Jo gave you, will be to Amazon. So sorry, Amazon Prime's over for the year. Okay, so I think that's everything. And thank you for coming. And I hope you learned something, or maybe you cemented something you already knew. And yeah, so there we have it. And we'll be back next week. Kathy Jo will be in the hot seat, and she'll be doing a project, and then I'll be back 2 weeks after that with a big project. Not big project so much as lots of elements to it. So I think you'll find it really interesting. So I better not tell you what it is, because if I do, then something will mess up and I'll have to do a substitute. So thanks again for coming. And if you have a question, feel free to contact me through the contact on the website, or if you already know my email address, just send me a note. And thanks for coming.